welcome back. It's Callie here. Good to see you again. Today, I thought it would be fun to take a look at my little collection of Hayao Miyazaki films from Studio Ghibli. I have a few of them. I think I'm working up to his entire collection, and I thought it would be fun to tap on them and enjoy the images and help you learn a little bit about the movies. So I'm going to pull you down so you can see the images a little better, and we'll get to tapping. So this is my little collection of Miyazaki films, and I've been slowly accumulating them. Thought I would show you the films in the order that I got them, so that is how they are arranged. A brief little informational section for those who don't know of Studio Ghibli or Hayao Miyazaki very much. It is an animation studio that was founded by Miyazaki and I think a few others, but he has become one of the most famous and world-known of the animators, writers, and directors. And I absolutely love his animation style and his storytelling, so I do have a love for many other Studio Ghibli films, but I figured I would start my collection with his movies because I tend to gravitate toward his storytelling style. He has been writing, directing, and animating movies for a very long time and is currently in retirement. Though there have been some rumors that he might be coming out of retirement soon to do one last film, which I would be completely okay with. But we'll see what happens. I remember watching a documentary about Studio Ghibli. It's named after an aircraft from I think World War I, possibly World War II. Someone will have to fact check if I don't. And it's actually not pronounced Ghibli, but that's how he pronounced it. So that is how it has continued to be pronounced. And he loves the idea of flight and being able to soar through the skies, and most of his storylines have a lot to do with people and their effect on the earth. And it's really, he does it in a beautiful way. He brings attention to information that needs to be seen and helps correct people's actions in a way that's kind and helpful, and it teaches a lot about how we all share this planet together, and we have to be aware of and protect our planet. So, I will start with the first movie I ever saw from both Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki, and then move through what I purchased. So we'll start with Ponyo. So Ponyo is a beautiful story of a little girl who starts out life as a goldfish and finds herself wanting to be part of the human world, and has access to some magical potions that allow her to take that form. And it's a really beautiful, whimsical story of a little girl and a little boy and their friendship. And it's a beautiful, innocent friendship. And talks about the preciousness of the sea and how life comes from the sea. And some of the most intriguing portrayals of sea life and the sea itself have come from this movie for me. My background on my phone is from Ponyo. It's, as I said, the first Miyazaki film that I saw. One of my college roommates introduced me to this movie and many other Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli films. She has a vast knowledge of movies and storytelling, and I owe a great deal of my current love for many different nerdy things to her. Thank you, Maggie. I remember watching this with her late at night. We were trying to get an apartment together, and as crazy as that process was, this always lightened the mood. And we watched with the other girls who were going to be moving in with us, and it was a beautiful night. And I know, like a lot of things, the first thing you're introduced to tends to be the thing that you love the most from that genre or collection or series or what it might be. And I still have a great love for Ponyo. And I think it's partially because it is the first of the Miyazaki films that I saw. But I think it also has a lot to do with my inner child and my love for the sea. I also eat ramen every time I watch it because they have one of the most delicious looking ramen bowls I've ever seen. One of the things that Studio Ghibli does is they release the film in, I think, Japan. Yeah, Japanese voice actors do it, and it's then, after a process, released, having been re-vocalized, voice acted by American English-speaking actors, and sometimes not American, just English-speaking actors, and then released in Disney is the American studio that helps release these, and they have some of the most brilliant casts I've ever seen in some of these. Kate Blanchett, Liam Neeson, Matt Damon, Tina Fey, Betty White. Can't go wrong with Betty White. And they do a very good job of, at least in my opinion, of transitioning from Japanese to English. So that's Ponyo. And set her to the side. Then the next one I purchased is My Neighbor Totoro, which I have a vague recollection of seeing when I was a very little girl. But I saw it for the first time as an adult, and it just seemed vaguely familiar. So I don't know if I had seen the whole thing or just parts of it. But watching it again as an adult brought back so many inner child feelings and thoughts. This movie is about two sisters who are going through a fairly stressful time in their life. One of their parents is fighting an illness, and they've moved to a new home so they can be closer to the place of treatment. And when they are cleaning, they see some intriguing things, and as they live there longer, they find that living in the country where they are, there's a lot of ancient magic, and they're introduced to the wonderful, friendly Totoro, who is a large forest creature. And a lot happens in this movie. There's a lot of fairly deep scenarios and subjects addressed, and again done in a way that it's easy to watch, and it helps you think through those things, which is what storytelling is all about. There is an iconic cat bus who comes into play. There's some of the most stunning visuals. It's such a light-hearted, feel-good family movie. This again has some incredible vocal actors. And I think I watch this movie probably 3 or 4 times a year. It just makes you feel good about life. Next, we have Princess Mononoke, which is a very different style films I have seen. It's most, I think, blatant about its subject in reference to how people affect the earth and how, without restraint, we are fully capable of destroying it. It follows a young man who is sent to try and find a cure for a curse. And he finds a princess who is fighting for the forest. It's very violent. There's a lot of death and animated gore, so it's not bloody and gory and gross, but it's definitely not for children. And some of the most beautiful imagery of the earth and Mother Earth I've ever seen or in this movie. It's a different story than I expected when I first started watching, but I fell in love after I was able to change my approach. I was at first expecting Ponyo and Totoro, and when I got this much darker, much bloodier in an animated movie, I was a little taken aback. But like I said, when I readjusted my perspective, I was able to fully appreciate the storytelling, the moral, and the breathtaking visuals. There's also some of the best villains in this. I love some of the quirkier characters Miyazaki does. And again, as I said before, and will continue, has some of the best voice actors. Gillian Anderson, Claire Danes, Minnie Driver, Billy Bob Thornton. They were able to get some big names. It's pretty impressive. Next is one of, I think, my top picks for my favorites. It goes back and forth, but this one's always in the top two, is Spirited Away. This is the story about a young woman, or more accurately, a little girl, who is thrown into a world of spirits unexpectedly, and she has to find her way and try to make it back home. And she has to deal with magic and spirits and some very scary situations. And it's a good lesson in human greed and human strength. And it's one of the most beautifully told stories, I think, of most stories I've ever interacted with. It definitely shows the strength and resilience of a little girl and how she can do it. We can all do it. it doesn't put the actors' names very prominently, but the voice acting is superb. I tried to wear this for Halloween this year, but didn't give myself enough time to find it or make it. And next is Kiki's delivery service. Which I think I also saw when I was younger, but have little to no recollection of it. It is the story of a young woman who is also a witch, coming to the age where she has to go and live on her own to find what she is supposed to do as a witch. I think she's 12 years old in this. And her mother does potions, and there are witches who do many different things, and she just can't seem to master those things. So she chooses to make deliveries on her broom. And it is a fun little story. Another very strong female character finding her strength in the face of adversity. I very much enjoy this film, but it never really makes it onto my list of top picks. Not because it's not wonderful, but because there are some others that have found a place in my heart in a way that this one just hasn't for some reason, but it is a really lovely story that's told beautifully. It has the voice of Debbie Reynolds in it. Rest in peace. As I said before, Miyazaki loves the idea of flying. And this is one of his characters that does a lot of that. This with one of my best friends when I was visiting her. She lives 4 or 5 hours away. And we watched it together while doing face masks, and it was fun too. Next, we have The Wind Rises, which is, I think, currently Miyazaki's latest film that he did before retirement. It is another one of those that I was not expecting when I got, but I really liked it. It is the fictionalized biographic film about a real-life plane engineer who Japan used to create fighter planes for Japan. When they were fighting the United States, or planning to. And it's a fascinating story that uses real-life events and then dramatizes them in a way. About a man who absolutely loves airplanes and the idea of flying, and can't quite come to grips with the use the planes he makes will have. And it goes through his life of being a boy and wanting to fly, and then going to school and learning about airplanes, and then being picked to work on different projects for the Japanese government, and then time when he went away for his own health and fell in love. And it is told in a very stunning way, which is why I say it's kind of dramatized, because it also just feels like real life events were used and then real emotions were added, and it just connects each event so that you can better understand his life. Some of the most visually stimulating scenes are while our main character is dreaming. His name is Jiro. He dreams fantastically. This also has quite the vocal cast. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Martin Short, Stanley Tucci, Mandy Patinkin, William H. Macy, just absolutely amazing actors. It leaves you really thinking at the end, which I think is an important thing about storytelling. It asks big questions and lets you ponder them in a way that does allow you to grow, truly contemplate. And almost finished. We have Castle in the Sky. This movie is, I think, from the 80s. Let's see. I can't see it upside down, but if you can, let me know. think it originally came out in the 80s. And then came to the US a little after that. And it was a very cute movie. But I watched it after this final movie I'm about to show you, which stole my heart. So this one had a lot to live up to. And it was very good. It was very intriguing. Had some amazing visuals. It follows a young boy who accidentally is brought into this I don't know if I would say fight, but a very difficult situation with a young woman who is a very special girl. She is the last heir to a family lineage that knows where this castle in the sky is. And the government wants to get it to use for weapon fighting purposes. And there's another group of people that simply do not want that to happen. And of course, since it's supposed to be a castle, there's supposed to be treasure. So there's a band of pirates also looking for it. Another floating, flying situation. And the castle in the sky is a beautiful, beautiful place. It's quite an adventure, this movie. Anna Paquin, Cloris Leachman, Mark Hamill, James Van Der Beek. Another phenomenal vocal cast. The soundtrack is pretty memorable too. It's very 1980s. And it's another pretty blatant moral to respect and love the earth. Because nature can easily be harmed if we're not careful. But when we let it thrive, it's wonderful. And last, but absolutely not least, Howl's Moving Castle. One of the things I've enjoyed about slowly collecting these is that I have not taken the time purposefully to research about the movies before I buy them. I just, when I find a Miyazaki film and I have a budget for a movie, I buy it. And I watch it with no preconceived notions. And this movie wowed me. It was beautiful and poignant and well told. And it stole my heart, like I said. It just found a spot and nestled right in there. It's about a young woman who actually is a young woman at this time, who considers herself to be plain, not very pretty. And she works in a hat shop and is thrust into the life of the wizard Howl unexpectedly, and is cursed by a different magic user, a witch of the waste. And she then finds Howl and enters his moving castle It's all about her trying to break the curse, never realizing how she actually has to break it. And it keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's incredible storytelling. It's whimsical and magical, and it really breaks your heart and then fills it back up. I loved this movie. If I were to recommend movies to start with when watching Studio Ghibli Miyazaki films, this would be very high up on my list. And as I keep saying, it has a voice cast to die for. Jane Simmons, Christian Bale, Lauren Bacall, Blythe Danner, Emily Mortimer, Josh Hutcherson, and Billy Crystal. Just so good. And so unexpected. So there you have my current Hayao Miyazaki film collection. And I can't rave enough about how absolutely beautiful and poignant these movies are. Hopefully, you will find one that steals your heart as much as they've stolen mine. I hope you have found this relaxing and tingling.